You look beautiful, he said to the alien girl. I told the alien woman you look beautiful today, and got an unexpected reaction. Leo Mercer adjusted the collar of his uniform, for the 12th time muttering under his breath it wasn't that he was nervous about meeting the Vithari delegation. Well, okay, maybe he was. But only because no one had really explained what the hell he was supposed to do. He was an engineer, not a diplomat. His job was usually confined to fixing things that made weird noises, not shaking hands with towering alien warriors who could probably snap him in half like a breadstick. The Halcyon's conference hall had been prepped for the meeting. Its sleek metallic surfaces gleaming under the dim ambient lighting. The air carried a faint hint of ionized ozone, probably the filtration system, overcompensating again. The room had been arranged to make the Vithari comfortable with wide throne-like chairs designed to accommodate their taller frames and reinforced tables, presumably so they wouldn't crumble under the weight of any dramatic alien gestures. Leo stood toward the back of the room, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. The actual diplomats, including Captain Holbrook, were gathered near the front, engaged in final preparations. His best friend Rami nudged him with an elbow. Hey, you look great, really professional, like a guy who accidentally wandered into a job interview for a position he's wildly unqualified for. Leo scowled. Thanks, just what I needed. Relax, Rami grinned. You're just here as tech support. Worst case scenario, you reboot a hologram and pretend you know what you're doing. Before Leo could fire back a retort, the room fell silent. A low chime signaled the arrival of the Vithari delegation. The door slid open with a hiss and 5 figures stepped inside, their long, graceful strides carrying them forward. With an air of quiet authority, Vithari were striking humanoid but with subtle differences that made them distinctly alien. Their skin bore a faint bioluminescent glow that pulsed gently with their emotions, their elongated ears tapering to elegant points, their eyes dark and sharply focused. Mist nothing. They wore intricately woven garments adorned with shimmering threads that caught the light in strange hypnotic patterns, and leading them was her Captain Velara. Leo had read the briefing. She was a high-ranking officer in the Vithari fleet, known for her tactical brilliance, and her what had the report said unyielding adherence to honor, which frankly sounded intimidating. Now seeing her in person, Leo could understand why people spoke about her with a mixture of awe and terror. She was tall, taller than him by at least a head, with sleek black hair pulled back from her face. Her posture was perfect, every movement calculated and precise. The glowing lines across her skin flickered in controlled rhythmic pulses, betraying no emotion. Her long ears twitched slightly as she surveyed the room, assessing each individual in turn. When her gaze landed on Leo, he had the distinct feeling of being measured like a piece of machinery she was considering taking apart. Welcome aboard the Halcyon, Captain Holbrook said smoothly, stepping forward. We are honored to have you. Velara inclined her head, her voice calm but carrying the unmistakable weight of command. The honor is shared, Captain. We look forward to productive discussions. Leo tried to stay inconspicuous, which was working pretty well, until Holbrook turned slightly and gestured toward him. And this is Leo Mercer, one of our senior engineers. He's here to assist with any technological concerns. Leo mentally cursed the universe and managed to smile. A hey, nice to meet you. Velara studied him for a moment before nodding a pleasure. The meeting began, and for the first 20 minutes it was all diplomatic pleasantries and discussion of trade routes. Leo tried to pay attention, but his mind started wandering, as it often did when conversations didn't involve blueprints or emergency repairs. His eyes flicked to Vara now and then, nodding. How still she remained, her expression unreadable. And then, because fate had a twisted sense of humor, he opened his mouth. You look beautiful today. It was automatic, a throwaway compliment, something his brain tossed out before consulting the rest of him. The reaction was immediate. The room froze. Velara's bioluminescent patterns flared in a sudden vivid crimson. Her pupils dilated, her posture stiffened, and oh hell, were those claws flexing at her sides. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the Vithari delegation. One of them murmured something in their language, voice filled with barely restrained horror. Another just stared at Leo like he had just detonated a peace treaty. Captain Holbrook, to his credit, kept his composure. Mercer, he said carefully, what did you just say? Leo's brain finally caught up with the situation. I Mean it's a compliment. Veeler's eyes locked onto him, her expression unreadable, her skin was still glowing. Red, a shade that looked suspiciously close to battle mode, one of the Vithari. Aides leaned in and whispered something urgently in Vara's ear, whatever it was. Her expression didn't change, instead she took a slow, measured breath and turned fully to face Leo. Except Leo blinked. Except what, a beat of silence, then the aide turned to Holbrook, face pale. He has issued the right of bonding. Leo stared the what Veeler spoke before anyone else could. In Vithari custom, the words you have spoken are an ancient vow of intent, an unbreakable proposal of union. Leo's mouth went dry. Wait, no, that's not what I raised a single elegant hand. I am honor bound to accept. Leo turned desperately to Raimi, who looked like he was moments from choking on laughter. Dude, Raimi whispered, grinning wildly, you just accidentally proposed to an alien. War Captain. Leo swallowed hard. Okay, he managed, voice weak. Okay, let's just take a second here. He turned back to Vara, forcing a smile. So, hypothetically, if I didn't mean to propose, does that mean we can undo this? Vara's expression remained steady. No. Leo inhaled. Exhaled, looked around the room full of horrified diplomats and stunned Vithari warriors, then he let his head fall into his hands. Oh, come on. Leo Mercer had experienced his fair share of disasters. He'd been caught in engine room fires, accidentally locked himself in an airlock twice, and once triggered a shipwide alarm because he thought a cooling vent was about to explode when it was just venting, but never in his life had he managed to offend an entire alien species and get married in under 30 seconds. The conference room was a frozen tableau of stunned diplomats and witty Vari. Captain Holbrook, who had up until now maintained the kind of calm only decades of diplomacy could forge, rubbed his temples like a man questioning his life choices. Leo had a growing suspicion that if given the option, Holbrook would rather eject him into deep space than deal with this mess. So Leo said, clearing his throat, just to be absolutely clear, I said one nice thing and now I'm married. Vara, her posture impeccably straight, regarded him with the cool detachment of a war strategist assessing battlefield conditions. The glowing patterns on her skin had faded from their alarmingly aggressive red to something closer to a soft amber, less about to rip your spine out, more mildly irritated but composed about it. Yes, she said simply. Leo opened his mouth, closed it, then turned to Raimi, who was leaning against the wall, looking like he was seconds away from combusting with laughter. I hate you. Leo muttered, oh no, you love me. Raimi grinned, you need me because, buddy, you have just achieved peak human diplomatic disaster, and I am going to enjoy every second of this. Leo turned back to Vara, who was still watching him with a look that he was beginning to think might be her default expression of mildly unimpressed. Right, Captain Valera, surely there's some kind of I don't know loophole, maybe a quick whoops, my bad clause. Valera blinked once slowly. There is no annulment of a bonding, right? Leo let out a weak laugh. What if I take it back? One of the Vithari aides, a tall, somber look man whose skin glowed in soft green disapproval, interjected, the right of bonding is sacred in our culture. To revoke it would be an insult of the highest order. Great, Leo muttered. Love that. Holbrook finally let out a long-suffering sigh. Captain Valera, I must ask if this is truly irreversible. What exactly does it entail? Is there a formal process? Valera inclined her head. There is a ceremony followed by a series of bonding trials. Completion of these trials will confirm the union. Leo's stomach twisted. Trials, that word doesn't sound fun. What kind of trials? Valera's bioluminescence flickered, and what he swore was amusement. They are traditional rites meant to test the compatibility of mates. Leo shot Holbrook a panicked look. Captain, I'm begging you, tell them we have a very strict no impromptu weddings policy. Holbrook sighed again, pinching the bridge of his nose. I am deeply sorry for this misunderstanding, Captain Valera, but I must insist that Leo Mercer did not intend to issue a formal proposal. A hush fell over the Vithari side of the room. One of the aides whispered something urgently to Vara in their native tongue, too fast for the translation software to catch. Valera listened, her expression unchanging, then gave a single slow nod when she spoke. Again her voice was measured but firm. It does not matter whether the intent was absent, the words were spoken. Honor must be upheld. Leo groaned and let his head Drop onto the table with a soft thud. Look on the bright side, Raimi said cheerfully. You always said you wanted to experience more culture. Now you get a wife and some bonus alien bonding rituals too. For one, Leo shot him a glare. I hope you step on a loose grab plate and float into a ceiling vent. Before Raimi could respond, Valera stood her. Movement fluid and precise. We will arrange for the bonding ceremony to take place within the next cycle. You will be given time to prepare. Leo lifted his head. Prepare? What do I need to write? Val's hire a band. Guevara's ears twitched, a sign he suspected meant she was holding back either amusement or exasperation. You will be expected to demonstrate your capability as a bonded mate through a series of tasks. Leo had a sinking feeling in his gut. What kind of task? She tilted her head slightly. Survival strength problem solving. Rami let out a delighted laugh. Oh, this is going to be good, Leo groaned. This is going to be terrible. Holbrook stood straightening his uniform. Captain Vara, while we respect your traditions, I must insist that my engineer is given full information before undertaking any trials. He is, after all, a diplomat by accident. Valera studied Holbrook for a long moment before nodding. That is acceptable. We shall provide the necessary details, but know this: once the bonding trials begin, there is no withdrawal. Leo slumped back in his chair. Oh, I love hearing that. Valera finally turned her full attention back to him. Her dark eyes were unreadable, her skin glowing in soft rhythmic pulses. You do not have to be afraid, Leo Mercer. I will ensure you are prepared. Leo stared at her. That's not as comforting as you think it is. Valera didn't respond immediately. Instead, she studied him for a long contemplative moment before nodding once. Then, she and the rest of the Vari delegation turned and left the room, moving in unison like a well-trained military unit. The moment the doors hissed shut behind them, Leo let out a deep breath and turned to Holbrook. Captain, permission to scream into a pillow for the next hour. Holbrook massaged his temples. Denied. Rami clapped him on the back. Cheer up, buddy. You've got a warrior wife now. That's got to count for something. Leo closed his eyes. I swear if I survive this, I'm going to make you pay. Rami grinned. Oh, I believe you, but first you've got a wedding to plan. Leo Mercer spent the next several hours in a state of controlled panic. He had survived warp core malfunctions, emergency depressurization, and once an accidental encounter with an angry gelatinous life form that had tried to digest his leg, but nothing in his years of engineering had prepared him for being unwillingly engaged to an alien warrior woman who thought bonding trials sounded like a perfectly reasonable way to start a relationship. He paced around his quarters, mumbling to himself while Rami lounged on the couch, thoroughly enjoying the show. So Rami said, stretching out like he had all the time in the world, have you considered embracing this whole marriage thing? You know, leaning into it. Leo shot him a glare. Oh, sure, great idea. I'll just lean into a sacred warrior union. I never meant to agree to. Maybe I'll handcraft wedding invitations. You're cordially invited to watch me try not to die in a series of alien trials. Rami grinned. You should probably go with a formal font. Class it up. Leo threw a pillow at him. The door chimed before Rami could retaliate, and Leo flinched like it might explode. When it opened, he found himself staring at a tall silver-clad Vari aide with a perfectly neutral expression. Leo Mercer, the aide said, his bioluminescent markings glowing a soft blue. Captain Valera requests your presence for an initial briefing on your bonding trials. Leo sighed. Of course she does. Rami gave him a thumbs up. Don't die, buddy. Leo muttered something unprintable and followed the aide out. The meeting room was smaller than the grand conference hall, but still felt overwhelmingly formal. Valera stood near a holographic display, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Her long ears twitched slightly as he entered the only sign she acknowledged his presence. You are late, she said. Leo frowned. I thought this was a show up whenever you can mentally process your impending doom kind of thing. Her brow arched. It was scheduled for precisely 20 minutes ago. Leo blinked, then turned to the aide. Why didn't you tell me that? The aide inclined his head. You did not ask. Leo sighed and rubbed his temples. Fantastic, great communication all around. Valera gestured to the display, ignoring his complaints. A series of glowing symbols hovered in the air. Vithari script, which his translators struggled to keep up with. These are the bonding trials you must undertake, she said. Each one represents a different pillar of our peoples values strength, strategy, and unity. Leo eyed the list. Wearily, you're not going to make me wrestle something to prove my worth, are you? Var's lips quirked slightly, the barest hint of amusement. Only if you insist, Leo sighed. All right, lay it on me. What do I have to do? She turned to the display and tapped the first glowing symbol. Trial won the challenge of strength. Leo groaned, called it. The trial is not solely about physical power, Veller explained. It is about endurance and adaptability. Leo's eyes narrowed. That sounds like something someone says right before making me run until I puke. Velara tilted her head slightly. That is a possibility. Leo groaned again. Fine. What's next? Velara tapped another symbol. Trial 2, the challenge of strategy. A test of tactical skill requiring problem solving under pressure. Leo perked up. Okay, see that I might actually be good at. I'm an engineer. I solve problems all the time. Velara nodded. Then you should excel. Leo didn't like how neutral she sounded. And the third maintained? He asked. She tapped the final symbol. Trial 3, the challenge of unity, a demonstration of cooperation and trust between us. Leo hesitated. Define trust in this context. Var's dark eyes held his unflinching. It is simple. If we are to be bonded, we must prove we can rely on each other in dangerous circumstances. Leo felt a lump form in his throat. That definitely sounds like something that could get me killed. Velara's bioluminescence pulsed faintly. Possibly. Leo dragged a hand down his face. Great, just great. Velara studied him for a moment, then tilted her head slightly. You are not what I expected. Leo blinked. Oh, and what did you expect? She considered a soldier or a warrior of some kind. Leo snorted. Yeah, well, surprise. I'm an engineer. The most violent thing I do is yell at malfunctioning power cores. A pause, then to his absolute shock, Velara's bioluminescence shifted to a soft pulsing gold, almost as if she was amused. It seems, she said, this bonding will be interesting. Leo threw up his hands. Oh, I'm so glad you're entertained. Velara straightened, her humor fading back into her usual unreadable expression. We begin the first trial tomorrow. I suggest you rest. Leo sighed. Yeah, sure, rest. That'll be easy. Vara nodded, then turned and strode toward the exit. But just before she left, she paused and glanced over her shoulder. For what it is worth, Leo Mercer, she said, I do not wish to see you fail. Leo stared after her as the door slid shut behind her. He let out a long breath. Well, he muttered to himself, that makes one of us. Leo Mercer had never been a morning person. His idea of an ideal start to the day involved a strong cup of coffee, some peaceful solitude, and most importantly, a complete and utter lack of impending life or death challenges. Unfortunately, the Vithari had other ideas. The training arena was an open-air structure on the Vithari flagship, a massive chamber with reinforced walls and a shimmering energy field that simulated an artificial sky. It was as far as alien combat rings went. Quite scenic. Lay would have appreciated it more if he wasn't currently standing in the center, staring at what could only be described as a death treadmill from hell. Velara stood beside him, arms crossed, watching him with the cool assessment of a general inspecting her troops. You appear tense. Leo shot her a look. Wow, what gave it away? Was it the fact that I'm about to participate in an alien trial of strength that I am absolutely not qualified for? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned and gestured to a nearby control panel. At her signal, the death treadmill, technically called a variable gravity endurance platform, but Leo had already renamed it in his head, sprang to life. Sections of the floor rose and fell at unpredictable intervals. Glowing panels flickered with shifting gravitational forces, and automated drones armed with low-voltage stun pulses hovered menacingly around the perimeter. Leo pointed at the setup. You people think this is normal exercise? Velara's bioluminescent markings flickered to soft gold, the now familiar sign of her amusement. This is a standard endurance course for young cadets. As Leo turned to her horrified, sea cadets as in children. Vara considered adolescence. Leo groaned. Great, so I'm about to get shown up by the Vithari equivalent of teenagers. Velara didn't confirm or deny it, which did not help his confidence. From the sidelines of a Thari official, a tall figure with deep violet skin and an expression of mild condescension raised a hand. Leo Mercer, you may begin your trial when ready. Leo took a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. It's just running, jumping, dodging, not dying. He turned to Vara. Any last-minute advice? She regarded him for a moment, then nodded. Do not fall. Leo gave her a flat look. Wow, incredible insight. Valera's markings glowed brighter. You are welcome. With another deep breath, Leo stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the platform, the course activated. The first section wasn't too bad, just some moving platforms and mild shifts in gravity. Leo managed to keep his footing, adjusting to the strange sensation of suddenly being 10 lb lighter, then 10 lb heavier, then feeling like he was running uphill on a wall. This isn't so bad, he muttered. Then the drones activated. A warning pulse hummed through the air. Leo barely had time to register it before a small hovering sphere shot a bolt of harmless but still unpleasant electricity at his shoulder. Ow, what the hell? Valera called out from the sidelines. The drones encourage efficiency. Encourage. Leo barely dodged another stun bolt, yelping as he stumbled over a shifting platform. Oh yeah, real encouraging. Nothing says motivation like getting electrocuted. The course escalated. Platforms tilted unpredictably. Gravity pockets made his stomach lurch, and the drone seemed increasingly determined to zap him. Leo flailed, nearly tripped, and barely caught himself on a railing. He looked up in time to see the final section, a long stretch of platform with zero gravity, requiring him to leap across floating structures to reach the finish. He inhaled sharply. Okay, I got this. Pushing off the platform, he launched himself into the zero gravity zone. For a moment, he floated. It was weirdly peaceful. A drone immediately shot him in the ribs. Leo flailed. Oh, come on. He spun wildly through the air, barely managing to grab a floating bar before he drifted completely off course from the sidelines. Rami, who had apparently arrived to watch, cupped his hands around his mouth. Looking good, buddy. Leo dangling from the bar glared. I will haunt you. With great effort, he swung himself forward, reaching the next platform. One more leap. He tensed, aimed, and launched, and promptly smacked into the final ledge. For a second, he just hung there, arms gripping the edge. Velar peered down at him. You are still conscious? That is promising. Leo groaned. I hate everything. She extended a hand. After a moment's hesitation, he took it, and she pulled him up effortlessly. The Vithari official stepped forward. Leo Mercer, you have completed the trial. Leo lay flat on the ground. Oh good, can I sleep here now? Var's bioluminescence pulsed with something suspiciously close to amusement. You may stand. With great effort, Leo sat up. He turned to her. Be honest, that was awful, wasn't it? She considered, then gave a slight nod. Your execution was unconventional. Leo groaned. So I was terrible. Vara tilted her head. And yet you reached the end. Leo blinked. Wait. Does that mean I passed? The official gave a slow nod by the narrowest of margins. Leo let out a weak laugh. Oh, fantastic. So all I have to do is scrape by with barely acceptable performance. Perfect. Valera watched him for a long moment, then surprisingly offered a hand to help him up. You endured, she said simply. Leo took the offered hand, letting her pull him to his feet. Barely. Her markings glowed a steady amber. It is a start. Leo exhaled. Great, only 2 more trials to go. Rami clapped him on the back. You're doing amazing, buddy. Leo groaned. I hope you have to do one of these someday. Rami grinned. Now I just let my alien wife carry me through it. Leo stared at him, then turned back to Valara. That is an option, right? She simply walked away without answering. Leo sighed. Yeah, I didn't think so. Leo Mercer had never felt more exhausted in his life after surviving the challenge of strength, or more accurately, barely scraping through with all his bones intact. He had been thrown headfirst into the challenge of strategy, where he had to outmaneuver a combat AI in a simulated battle scenario. It had gone well, about as expected. After spending the first few minutes screaming at the controls, mashing buttons, and nearly launching himself out of an airlock by accident, Leo had finally figured out how to use his engineering background to reroute power in creative ways. Instead of fighting the AI head-on, he had reprogrammed the system, forcing it into a loop until it powered down. An unconventional victory, Vara had said afterward, arms crossed, expression unreadable, but a victory nonetheless. Leo had responded by immediately passing out from stress, and now here he was standing at the edge of the final trial, the challenge of unity, which, as it turned out, was a team-based survival exercise in zero gravity with predatory training drones. Leo rubbed his temples. I'm sensing a pattern here. Rami, who had somehow convinced the Vithari to let him watch from the observation deck, gave him A thumbs-up look on the bright side, buddy. At least this time, you're not doing it alone. Leo turned to Vara. Please. Tell me that's true. Please tell me you're actually helping me this time. Valera adjusted the bracers on her arms, her bioluminescence pulsing a calm, steady blue. That is the purpose of this trial. Leo exhaled. Great. Fantastic. Because I'd like to remind everyone that my last experience with zero gravity ended with me getting repeatedly electrocuted and flailing around like an inflatable tube. Man, Valera tilted her head. I recall. Leo narrowed his eyes. Was that humor? She didn't answer. A deep hum resonated through the chamber, and suddenly the artificial gravity cut out. Leo felt his stomach lurch as his feet left the ground. All right, he muttered. Here we go. The drones activated. Immediately, sleek mechanical constructs with glowing red optics, they moved in coordinated predatory formations. Assessing their targets, Leo flailed in the air. Slight problem, I have no idea how to maneuver in Zerog. Valera sighed, then hold on before he could protest. She grabbed his wrist and propelled them both into motion with effortless precision. Leo tried not to yelp as they soared through the simulated asteroid field, dodging the drone's attacks. How are you so good at this? He demanded. Valera's ears twitched. I was trained for space combat from childhood. Leo groaned. Great, that's great. Meanwhile, my childhood training consisted of fixing my uncle's broken microwave. A drone fired a low-energy bolt in their direction. Valera twisted in midair, using the recoil of a plasma burst to shift their trajectory. Leo, for his part, held on for dear life. Okay, he gasped. Tell me what I need to do. Valera handed him a small propulsion device. Use this control your movements. Do not panic. Leo grabbed it immediately, panicked, and nearly spun himself into a full somersault before Vara stayed him. This is fine, he muttered. This is all fine. The trial intensified. The drones worked in tandem, forcing Leo and Vera into increasingly difficult positions, but slowly Leo started getting the hang of it. He wasn't as fast or precise as Vera, but he learned to anticipate her movements, to follow her lead, and then without really thinking, he made his own move. A drone cut off their path. Instead of flailing, Leo activated his propulsion device at just the right angle, pushing off a floating structure and knocking the drone into another. It sparked and deactivated. Valera's gaze flicked to him. Well done. Leo blinked. Wait, did I actually just another drone shot at him? He yelped, barely dodging. Nope, never mind, I am not a natural at this. Valera grabbed his arm, stabilizing him. Trust me, she said. Move when I move. Leo exhaled. Okay, fine, trust, we can do trust. He followed her lead. They moved in tandem, dodging and countering, adapting to each other's timing. It was chaotic, but it worked, and then just like that, it was over. The drones powered down. The trial ended. Leo floated there for a moment, panting. Did we win? Valera's markings glowed to warm amber. Yes. Leo let out a weak laugh. Oh, thank God. Later, after the debrief, Leo found himself sitting next to Vara in the observation deck, staring out at the vastness of space. So he said, I survived somehow. Valera inclined her head. You did? Leo hesitated. So what now? She studied him for a moment. You have completed the bonding trials. Yeah, I got that part. He ran a hand through his hair. So does that mean we're actually married now? Vara's bioluminescence pulsed faintly. Do you wish to be? Leo stared at her. Wait, I get a say in this? She nodded. The trials were meant to prove capability and trust. A warrior does not bond with one who cannot stand beside them. You have proven yourself. Leo blinked. Javilier's gaze was steady. Do you wish to remain bonded? He opened his mouth, hesitated, thought about everything, the chaos, the absurdity. The fact that he'd somehow navigated an entire alien courtship ritual by accident, and then he thought about Vara. The way she had guided him without hesitation, the way she had watched him not with amusement but with expectation. As if she had always known he could succeed. He exhaled. Well, he said, rubbing the back of his neck, I guess there are worse fates than being married to a badass alien warrior. Valera's lips quirked slightly. Indeed, Leo grinned. So adieu. We get a honeymoon. She considered. There is a mission to the Rithos Nebula. Next cycle it is considered a hazardous zone. Leo groaned. Of course it is. Valera's markings glowed gold. It will be an adventure. Leo sighed. Yeah, just as long as it doesn't involve more death treadmills. She said nothing. Leo narrowed his eyes. Valera still nothing about Valera. Her glow brightened ever so Slightly Leo groaned, I'm never going to get a normal life again, am I Valera? Simply stood come husband, there is much to prepare for Leo sighed, but despite himself he followed maybe this wasn't what he had expected, but maybe it wasn't so bad after the end.